Thank you very much for joining me today. So today we are doing a Movers and Shakers episode, number 2, with the owners and fantastic people here at Cacio Pepe. I never say that right.
Yeah.
Justin and Ashley. What we're going to do is we're just going to start with a little bit of a background on who you are, how you met, how you came to where you are right now, and then we can dive into the fun business stuff.
Well, I started out, I grew up in Niagara-on-the-Lake from here. Like a lot of people, I guess, started working in the vintage inns. So I worked at the Pillar and Post just down the street from my house. After that, I went to Niagara College, not for culinary school, not in the culinary. I'm pretty sure they didn't even really have that program off the ground too much at that point. But I went through their professional golf management program. Did a couple of years there, and then got the itch to travel and took off. And then I ended up out west. We worked for the Fairmont Group in Banff and Lake Louise at the Chateau Lake Louise for the majority of the time. Got tired of the mountains after a couple of years and moved down to the Cayman Islands, where I worked for the Westin Group, the Westin Casarina Resort and Spa. I was there for a year, and then ended up on the west coast of Canada after that, and Vancouver, where I spent the majority of my cooking career, and that's where Ashley and I met, I guess.
Met the love of your life.
That's the one. Some say it so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, what about you? What's your story?
My story is very much so the same, I guess. I mean, other than being the world traveler that Justin is and being born and raised here, because that was not me. I grew up in BC and met Justin working at a restaurant in my early 20s, and he brought me back here. We started a family. He brought me back here, and we started our business, and the rest is really history. This is home now.
Awesome. Yeah. So how do you like the Niagara region overall?
I love it. I love it. We go back to BC all the time, and every time we come back, this is our new home. This is home. It feels right. I love it here. It's different, but in a good way.
I know a lot. I have a lot of friends. I know a lot of people that have moved back or moved here, I should say, from outside of Canada and different parts of Canada. And every time I ask them, so how do you feel about the Niagara region? Everybody's the same. It's warm. It's inviting. It's comfortable. We love the area. The weather for Canada is pretty good outside of, if you get right out to the East Coast or West Coast. They love it here. And obviously, we have a lot to offer with the wine country and things like that. So close proximity to Toronto, close proximity to Buffalo. So, yeah, it's a great place to live.
Yeah, I think the sell was pretty easy, too. When we used to come back before we moved here, we'd stay in 2 places, either Niagara-on-the-Lake, where my parents lived, or in the Muskoka, where we have cottages. So you see those 2 places, and you're like, I'm in.
I might have been catfished a little bit, but...
Yeah, well, Niagara-on-the-Lake and Muskoka are really, really nice places.
Absolutely.
So I love it up there. I'm really into the Perry Sound, Bracebridge
100%.
area. It's so nice.
It's just
at least
gorgeous.
once a year we take, the wife and I take at least a weekend.
You have to.
Up there.
You have to.
It's just so relaxing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So then to the business side. So talk to us about your career trajectory.
Okay. Well, actually, I started out in the front of the house, so that's kind of something that's different than a lot of other chefs, I guess. As it was I started out, I've worked every position in the restaurant. I started out working as a dishwasher, and then a busboy, then a bartender, server, sommelier, general manager. And then got into the back of the house, worked first, second, third cook, sous chef, prep chef, head chef. So, I mean, there's not a position that I haven't held in the restaurant. So it's that's kind of the trajectory it went. And after seeing all the positions in the restaurant, the one thing I knew is I didn't want to own a restaurant. So I knew I wanted to be in the food industry because that was my passion. But it wasn't with a restaurant. It's just... it's a lot of work, long hours, not conducive to a family environment. So it was kind of just trying to figure out what I wanted to do, where I could still do what I loved and be around food, be around wine, cook, but not in that environment.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I have a lot of friends that have worked in, coming up in the Niagara region in high school, we all kind of work in that field in one way or other. And it's not conducive to having a family. It's hard.
No.
The ones that do it, all the respect.
Absolutely.
It's really hard.
It's difficult. But that was kind of the trajectory that we took. And I kind of found this method just kind of selfishly for myself at the beginning. It was kind of how it all started out, was just to be able to have my freezer stocked at home. After working 12-hour days in the kitchen, the last thing I want to do is come home and deal with dirty dishes and everything. I didn't mind cook. I could cook 24 hours a day, no problem. It's it's all the dishes that comes with good cooking.
Yeah, it's everything else. Yeah.
You got to have like 3 pots and 4 pans and whatnot just to make one meal is, a lot of work. So
You don't want to be in the kitchen after him.
no, that's for sure. I need a personal dishwasher at home. So just having all the meals all lined up, ready to go in the freezer, so I could just pop them in, go take my shower. By the time I came back downstairs, it was cut it open, it's ready to go for me. So,
and that is exactly how it works. So we were talking before we started that, I had an extremely long day the other day, and 9:30 at night, I hadn't eaten since I had my Cheerios for breakfast. Shout out to Cheerios. And I was so hungry. And, obviously the reason I had you on is because your business, I love your business. I love the product. I love the preparation. I love the ingredients, how you do it. Everybody always comments the reason they love like Southern food and comfort food is because there's so much love put into it. And that's exactly how I feel about your food. So I pulled out the baked beans and brisket with the smoky backdrop to it. It's just so, oh my gosh, so good. And then I cut that open and I put it in the water. It's a simmer. It's not a boil. It's a simmer for 20 minutes. And then, I went and did everything else that I had to do to just kind of, get ready to unwind at 9:30 at night. By 10 o'clock, I'm sitting down and I'm having brisket with baked beans, and the level of the meal, the quality of that is something that I would have expected only to be able to experience in a real good casual fine dining kind of restaurant. You've perfected the art of providing that type of meal in my home setting. So it allows me now to have, when I want something that is that, quality, I don't have to, especially if you don't have time. I mean, 9:30 at night, how many casual fine dining restaurants are even open, right? That's
right.
Not when the clientele is going to that.
Yeah.
I'm able to have that at home.
Yeah.
And to me, that is a very special thing.
Thank you. Yeah, that is exactly our goal. So I thank you for pointing that out. But yeah, just trying to, just like our slogan, we're, bringing dining out in. And that's kind of the idea, is to be able to provide somebody with that level of food in the comfort of their own home. And then, also, if people want to be able to have a special dinner that maybe they don't have the funds to be able to go out and get a great bottle of wine, a couple meals, in a casual fine dining restaurant, like you say. I mean, it's going to run you $150 to $200 for 2 people. And
exactly.
A lot of people, that's outside their comfort zone. A lot of the times, even a bottle of wine on the wine list is outside of their comfort zone, even if it's the least expensive on the menu with all the markups and everything else. So, I mean, this way people can have 2 meals. They can get their bottle of wine, even if it's a $9 bottle of wine, whatever. I've always said, even when I was a sommelier, I never pushed people into bottles of wine. I found out where their comfort zone was. I can find a bottle of wine for anyone. Just depends what you like. Just, the person that drinks a $9 bottle, they're not going to appreciate a $75 bottle anyway. So why give it to them? So.
Well, and wine's one of those things. And I mean, craft beer is kind of getting there, but with wine, it's one of those things where it's almost like a journey, and everybody's always at a different point in that journey.
100%.
So to double down on that
Exactly.
personal experience, the wife and I, Reef Estate Winery here in Niagara Lake, we love their product. Great
Absolutely.
Product. They have a really nice white wine that we just enjoy with pasta or fish. So your lobster ravioli, and being able to do, like, I could never make that. I wouldn't even try. So to have that at home and not have to, after a hard day of work, necessarily have to venture out and find a place that has something like that. We have it in the freezer. It's ready to go. Pull the bottle of wine out, pull the pasta out, put a sauce with it. Boom. We have this amazing meal that we would never be able to make on our own.
Thank you. That's the idea behind it. I mean, if we can keep it like, $50 for your wine and 2 meals for people that don't usually go out, that's obtainable for somebody.
Yeah.
And they don't feel like they're breaking the bank. They don't feel stressed out about
Exactly.
eating a dinner. so many times I've noticed people that have come out and it's their one time out a year, it's either their anniversary or wife's birthday or something else. And you could just see them sweating it a little bit because it's like, trying to find something inexpensive in the meal, but then they're going to not enjoy it because, they're not going to be well fed because they're trying to get something that's inexpensive, scrambling with the, more inexpensive appetizers or something else and trying to make it a main course. And
I really don't want to drop $250 on a meal today.
When they could have
have to.
They could have gone to a lesser restaurant and got, something more substantial and been happier, and probably should have, but it's kind of, people have that in mind that
you want to do something special.
You want to do something special. Yeah. So this kind of allows them to do that. And I mean, just the amount of emails we get from people that have just celebrated their anniversary, whatnot, especially during COVID, because even people that would be able to afford going out for those meals couldn't. So so just giving that option, the amount of really nice emails we got just like really warms our heart when we read stuff like that, you really made someone's anniversary, especially in with how we are. I mean, we have people that come in the shop and they can tell us the next time they see us, but it's not like a restaurant. Yeah. All the restaurants I worked at, it's an open kitchen usually in most fine dining restaurants. So people will always walk by, tell you exactly what they thought right afterwards. So there's that instant gratification. Whereas, with our business, you get an email later on or something like that. But yeah, I just remember when we first really started out and it started getting going. And I just remember it's around like when we'd sit down for dinner, because we usually eat a little bit later than most after we get the kids down. Right. But then the phone would just start. You'd get emails coming in. You'd hear phone calls coming in and stuff, and they'd be coming in one after another. And it was just people like, oh my God, I just tried your meals for the first time. Unbelievable. Like, thank you so much. Like, you just made our anniversary dinner. We weren't able to go out because with the COVID and everything, the restaurants are closed.
Or we're just not comfortable dining.
Or we're not comfortable dining at this point. So thank you so much. Like, we really appreciate it. And then that kind of stuff is like, makes what we do like all worth it, to be able to do that.
Yeah. So I'm a big why person. Now, a lot of people, they focus on like what they do or how they do it. I'm a big why person. To me, it really matters why people do what they do. For myself, like the reason why I do real estate is I get to help people every day on the path to achieving their dreams, achieving their goals, things that, it might be the biggest investment of their life. They might buy a home one time in their life. So helping facilitate that, helping people to make a really good decision, getting me out of bed every morning, like it's what really gets me going. I love doing that. Absolutely. Helping a buyer, close on a house, and then when they move in, showing up and the pride and the smile on their face, like it's worth everything to do that.
100%.
And that's exactly what I'm hearing from you is, that even though it's a delayed gratification, that, reminder of why you're doing what you're doing and why you stepped out to open a small business. Exactly. Which is hard to do and scary and like, it's a lot. Yeah. So that it makes it all worthwhile.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. You need, really if you're basically in business for yourself, if you're not waking up before your alarm clock, then you're doing the wrong job. You've opened the wrong business.
Exactly.
So
exactly. That's a great point.
Yeah.
One of the things that I like that you've said before about why we do what we do or why we started this business was when you said that you would see like the same people dining every single day, or it's like every single Thursday of every week, so-and-so would come in to like the fine dining restaurant and they would spend like $500-600 on their dinner like weekly, and it's like you see the same faces all the time, and it's like you want to be able to still bring that food to everybody. Like everyone deserves to be able to have that, and whether you want to be eating in a restaurant where it feels a certain way, or if you want to have that food in the comfort of your own home and you can be in your pajamas and you could eat it however you want to and be able to like fully enjoy it to its potential, like that's what you want.
Cacio Pepe, what does that mean?
Okay. Well, it's probably the most common question we get in the storefront when people walk in for the first time. So, Cacio Pepe.
See, I don't say it right.
There's many different ways to say it. There's no for sure right or wrong
We might
answer.
not even be saying it right.
Yeah. We do. There is some wrong ways to say it, that's for sure. We've heard a few of those. But
we're not going to go down that road.
We're not going down that way.
No.
But yeah, Cacio Pepe is it's based off a classic Italian dish, Cacio e Pepe, first of all, which is just a classic dish, meaning in Italian cheese and pepper. You'll find it all over Italy, more definitely in Rome, but all over Italy you can find a variation of that dish. But again, just like you say, it's just like cheese and pepper. That's the thing. And based off that, it's just, you don't need a lot of ingredients. You just need the right ones that pair well together. And that's kind of what one of the business models we kind of base our business off of is we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. You'll see a lot of classic ingredients. You'll see apple with pork and, mint with lamb, lobster, corn, things like that. These things have been paired together for hundreds of years for a reason. They're classics. So we don't try and reinvent the wheel or anything like that. I spent a good portion of my career learning that reinventing the wheel, it's like, although it's fun sometimes, it's not always hit. There's some misses in there as well, and
Where you made me when we first started dating.
There's a story.
Sometimes
here.
when you swing for the fences, you miss. But yeah, with the classics, you've always got a great foundation there. And not to mention that, but always these are dishes that people can relate to. So even if they have never had the dish you've made them, they can relate to apple and pork because they had applesauce on their pork chops or something as simple as that.
Right.
So although they don't know that they're relating it to that, in their mind, it's attached to a memory.
Right.
And that's what food is, and it's attached to memories.
Yes.
And if you can evoke memories and emotion in people while they're eating, for me, there's no greater thing as a chef, to be honest. So it's basically Cacio Pepe. It's kind of a variation of one. It's just ingredients that go well together. Obviously, it's my last name, Pepe. So there's that, and one of my favorite dishes. It's one of my comfort foods.
Our last name.
Our last half of your last name. So yeah, but
Life.
so that's the Cacio e Pepe or Cacio Pepe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you are located at
65 Stewart Road. So the location was kind of one thing for us because when we started out, we weren't even sure if we were going to have a storefront or if we were just going to be all delivery. That was one of the biggest things too, was to be able to do food in this way. We were going to have to deal with zero waste. So the whole idea was we get ingredients fresh in that day, work with them that day, flash freeze them that day, vacuum sealed. That way, you basically get everything into the fridge, you clear it out that day, you freeze it that day, and then moving on to the next thing. That way you can keep your food cost extremely low that way. And instead of a meal, you charge somebody $40, $45 for, we can charge them in between $15 and $20. So that was a big thing for us, was the whole delivery. So being close to the QEW, obviously, there's so many people in Ontario live right off the QEW, a good portion. So doing delivery from Fort Erie to Mississauga, we wanted to make sure that we were close by. So although we only do some of those farther areas, like Oakville, Burlington, Mississauga on Thursdays, and the Fort Erie, Port Colborne's on Tuesdays, we still do Niagara-on-the-Lake, Niagara Falls, and St. Catharines every day but Sunday. So it was very important to be close to the QEW for that reason. But to still have a Niagara-on-the-Lake address, that's our number one goal, is supporting Niagara-on-the-Lake. Everything after that was just kind of gravy for us. But yeah, we wanted to.
Yeah, it really fits with the community.
We wanted to be a part of the Niagara community. And so that's our number one goal, is feeding Niagara-on-the-Lake. Everything after that is just gravy for us, and it's been.
Well, the really cool thing about that is, like, you're talking about delivery specifically, so that those who may not know, you deliver your meals to specific areas of Niagara, is what you're saying, on specific days, so that for people who can't necessarily come by and drop by, you can help them out with that.
Exactly. Niagara-on-the-Lake actually is every single day. As long as you get your order in before 4 p.m., if you have a Niagara-on-the-Lake address, whether it be Virgil, St. David's, Old Town Niagara, Garrison Village, Queenston, that's all same-day delivery. If you get your order in before 4 p.m., it goes out that same day between 4 and 6 o'clock. So, that gives you a lot of versatility. St. Catharines and Niagara Falls, as long as you get your orders in before midnight the day before, it'll go out that next day for you. So
especially too, Ashley, you were saying this off camera earlier when we were talking, that it's a really good point that there is nothing in Niagara-on-the-Lake. In other cities they have different brands like Skipped Editions or Uber Eats and stuff like that. And in Niagara-on-the-Lake there isn't any of that. So you are kind of the elite level of Uber Eats here in Niagara. In that you're providing these like gourmet, high level meals, and you're delivering to houses.
Yeah.
And
Deliver right to the consumers. And I mean, as long as you're okay with simmering some water and putting your meals in, there's really no more work to it than that. And you don't have to worry about, like we talked about this before, where it's like, we feel like in the market, we're a little bit different in the sense, I mean, a lot different, but a little bit different in the sense that if you're ordering from a restaurant and you're getting it to your house, it's still not going to be the same quality as dining in the restaurant and having it on your plate and being fresh. You know, it's especially in Niagara. Like there are some places that deliver to you through Uber Eats and such, but they're far and
every
few
time
between.
you get the fries, they are soggy.
And it's going to take at least half an hour to 40 minutes before it's to you. And
that's a great point.
Then you're not getting like the quality that you wanted. So
yeah,
this way we're kind of
that's
packaging the quality.
That's the one thing, because Niagara on the Lake's kind of tucked out of the way. It's kind of, if you're ordering from St. Catharines or Niagara Falls. Yeah. They've got to come 20 minutes in, 20 minutes out, you know. So it's either they won't do it for that reason. It doesn't make sense. It's not feasible. Or if you do get it, it's usually, you know, like you say, it's not the product you'd get on your plate.
Oh, yeah. And so I'll say this from personal experience, because obviously I've had a wide spread of product you guys provide. So like the one I spoke about with the brisket, I mean, that was, you know, almost like the old fashioned set it and forget it. You know, I set the timer, I put it in the water, and I walked away and came back when it dinged. Pretty similar with the pastas, same thing. The one that takes a little bit more detail, but I love, because I've had this in multiple places, was the short ribs.
Yeah.
Because it's a full meal, right? Yeah. You're getting the short ribs, you're getting the carrots or whatever at that point in time that's fresh. And the potatoes,
the brandied onions.
Yeah. So like there's a little bit more work to that one, but my goodness, was it worth it? Right. And again, I would never be, and I have good experience in the kitchen. My wife would attest to this if she was here. I love to cook, and I could not produce that product on my own. You know, it would take a lot of work to try.
We always tell people it's our product's not for people that don't know how to cook. It's for people that like to eat. Right. So it's, and that, like the dish you were talking about.
That's a great way to say that.
The dish you were talking about, the Cabernet braised beef, it's, you know, it's because it's 4 different things.
It's amazing.
It's a lot more work for us at the thing, but we do have to have it on our menu. It's our most popular, most ordered item. And it's still, because that's one of those things where there's nobody that really does that, where you can just have a composed dish at home. You know, you can always find somewhere where there's one bag of something, you know, like, you know, whether it be like you go to the supermarket and they've got the ribs in that same sort of style or whatnot. You know, there's nobody that actually has the full meal where you get the starch, your veg, your meat, the sauce, everything, but it's not together. Right. It's completely separate. You build it, and, you know, so you've got a composed restaurant dish in the comfort of your home.
Exactly.
Well, and that's the thing. Like on a Tuesday night, you're not going to go and spend your entire evening preparing like 3 sides to go with your protein for yourself and your wife. Right. Whereas like we can do that because we're making them for a lot of people all at once, and we're able to package it in such a way. But I mean, like, yeah, then you can just have it on a Tuesday, and you can have that, and your wife can have something else if she doesn't like the beef, and it all just goes into the same place. And
exactly.
It's nice and convenient that way.
It's clean. It's like, it's really easy. It's simple.
Everything gets used, unlike some of the boxed meals where, you know, that stuff just sits in the fridge for a week and then half of it goes to waste.
I did want to bring up some of that stuff because some of that is like, you look at the ingredients and you're like, I don't know what that says. Yeah. I don't know what that means.
And that's one big thing. That's why we've got it on large letters on the back that no preservatives. And people might think that's, you know, like, oh, of course, you know, there's no preservatives. Like, yeah, but you go into a grocery store, I mean, 95% of the stuff has some sort of preservatives, some sort of sulfite, something that makes the product last longer. You know, and this is the stuff
that's...
keep the
meat packaged until it gets to your house from however long it takes to ship it.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and these are the things that are really, you know, are not great for your body. I mean, these are the things that are killing people. So it's like to have, you know, just whole raw ingredients, you know, that's all we need. So, and that's all everyone's body needs. You don't need all this other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. It's something that is becoming much more prevalent in our society. People are starting to pay attention to that stuff. What I would say too is one of the things that I do love, and it's simple, and even though you're doing delivery, the storefront. So I'm going to, for people that don't know where it is, this is how I rationalize it, because this is how I found you. So the Avondale Dairy Bar, which everybody in the Niagara region 100%. Pretty much knows where they are.
I'm so thankful you said Avondale Dairy Bar.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the other one. Yeah, no. The Avondale Dairy Bar is literally like a kilometer away.
That's right.
Right? So
on the same road, yeah.
On the same road. So, and almost everybody knows where that is. So it's pretty easy to find you because your sign is right out front on the road. So if everybody just goes, okay, I take the fork in the road, I go west, and the fork in the road left. I guess. And you're right there on the right side on the way to the Avondale Dairy Bar. So it's pretty easy to get to.
That's right.
And then once you get there, you walk in the door and you have a nice, easy to read, laid out menu. You can go down the list. You see all the pricing. Everything is very simple and straightforward. Nothing hidden. You're not trying to play any funny games or anything. So it's really easy to just walk in, place your order. You get it. You put it into a freezer bag for us, like an insulated bag, which I also found amazing, that we get to take home and then reuse.
Of course, we hope you do.
And come back and use it over and over again. Again, going into your whole idea of, less waste.
That's right.
And it's all right there. You get it right on site.
I'm glad you talked about no hidden costs, because that was one of the biggest things from the very beginning that I was really hard pressed on saying. Like, I do not want any sort of subscription base. The product should talk for itself. If you have a good enough product, people should want to come back and buy it. You shouldn't be tricked into buying it like a lot of those subscription bases. So that was definitely one thing I was really, really hard on. That is just, you know what? People will come because they like the product.
Yeah.
If the product's good enough, it will sell itself.
So to correlate, because absolutely, and then to stay on that whole train of thought. So then the price point. So the last time I was there I think it was last week. I was in, and I spent just over $70, and that gave my wife and I almost a whole week of meals, and she took it to work for leftovers, right?
Oh,
so,
wow.
like in these days, to take away all of that effort, to really worry, the concern of, okay, what are we going to eat? I know everybody does the same thing we do. We have the whiteboard on the fridge. Okay, let's write down our meals for the week. What are we going to try to make this week and buy groceries for and try to figure it out? Oh, it didn't work because we couldn't
try.
Keyword try. Tuesday we ended up having something, or I had to go to, an appointment or something. There's always something.
Yeah.
So then at the end of the week, you've bought all these groceries that are sitting in the fridge still. And you're like, okay, we got to make something with this stuff because we bought it all. We don't want to waste it.
Yeah.
And
especially these days with inflation the way it is. I mean, you can't buy something for one meal. If you buy something, you better be using it in 3 meals.
Yeah.
And then at that point, then your weekly meals turns into like a jigsaw puzzle. Like, how will we fit these ingredients into all these different meals?
Yeah,
To get
exactly.
the best return on investment. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the pasta, let's go back to the pasta, because you make the pasta on site
Yes.
by hand.
Yes.
And so if I'm comparing, I'm buying pasta in the store. Most people, we buy, the dry pasta. Yeah. Or if we splurge, we're buying the not dry,
The fresh in the refrigerator section.
Yes. And it's quite expensive now.
That's right.
Pasta is $8, $10 now. And so when you start to put it together, again, lobster ravioli was $16, I think, $17.
Yeah.
And it fed both of us, and my wife took some to work for lunch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
From
we'll
meal.
usually, my wife and I will split that dish and just cook our own steak. So we'll cook one steak. We'll have that lobster ravioli going in
Have
the
a
simmering
little
water
surf
and,
and turf.
and do a surf
Exactly.
and turf meal. And that's another big thing was, I always tell people, don't rely on our meals for all your meals.
Yeah.
We still want to breed a good cooking community and everything else. But, even if you just use our meals and you split it as an addition to what you're already doing to elevate your meal, whether it be our raviolis or our gnocchis, turning your meal into a surf and turf or whatnot, it's just kind of just help to elevate your experience, your dining experience, just a better overall, dining community.
Yeah, it's a great point. Building the community. But going back to the hand making of the pasta. So walk us through your process. So let's just use the pasta as an example, because it's something I think most people can envision.
Yep.
And then we can maybe expand into another meal or two.
Sure. Yeah. So we make all our own pasta dough, obviously, except for the dry pasta, like you said. There's nothing wrong with dried pasta. That's for sure. That's why you see it all across Italy. It's like there's dried pasta everywhere. You go into a supermarket, half the supermarket's 50% dried pasta, in Italy. So, there's nothing wrong with dried pasta. And we use dried pasta for our sauces. But yeah, for our raviolis, it's all fresh. For the gnocchis, all fresh, made in house. And we go for a very classic fine dining style dough where we are very heavy on the egg yolk base. So it's more egg yolks than you could think you could fit in a little piece of dough, essentially. So it is very rich, and that's like all of our meals. You don't need as much because they are richer. They're made on the richer side. My background is in fine dining. It's classic French cuisine, so I'm used to using richer ingredients, although they are whole ingredients. So you don't need as much. That being said, we also don't stick with the fine dining portion size. The portions are somewhere, a little larger than that. We don't want you hungry afterwards. You shouldn't need an appetizer before you have one of our meals, essentially.
Right.
So, but yeah, we make fresh dough, a couple times a week, and we're making, raviolis a handful of times a week, gnocchi every week. It's something we do all the time. We love it because, it's just like pasta is like an emotion for, a chef. It's, it's like to get in that habit and to get the flour on you and to get right in there, get your hands in it. That's all part of it. That's all the experience and whatnot. So it's very, very big for us. And it's obviously one of our best sellers, the gnocchis and the raviolis, because it's one bag into the pot of simmering water for the allotted time. And then you cut it open. It couldn't be any easier than that. So people do enjoy those.
And you do the filling. You make the filling all yourself on site.
Absolutely. Everything we do is made on site fresh. So it's that's another one of the things we try and do, something that you're never going to find in one of the grocery stores. So you might find a lobster ravioli in one of our local grocery stores, but if you go back and look at the back of the package and you look what the dough's made out of and you don't recognize 80% of those ingredients, that's not a good thing. So, and
flavor-wise, trust me,
that's right.
They don't have your product in a grocery store.
Exactly. If
I've tried the different products.
If there's if there's more than just flour, eggs, and olive oil, then you're down the wrong path, unfortunately. Yeah. So you've already missed the mark. So that's kind of.
How long would you say your longest sheet of dough has been? I've seen him in the kitchen, and he's got his arms stretched out as far as they can possibly go, with Sarah in the kitchen beside him with her arms as far as they can possibly go.
Well, I can skip all the shoulder workouts when I get home. Let's just put it that way. You get your arms held up like this for multiple hours in the daytime. Yeah.
And a couple times a week.
Exactly.
Just like the gym.
That's right. That's my excuse anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the, I got a question for you. Yeah. What's the most difficult meal that you make for your business? But it's still it's something that you do consistently, but it's hard.
Okay. So I would say, this would be for most chefs. I'd say, I wouldn't say that there's one thing that's more difficult than the others. I wouldn't, once you have that skill in your bag, it's no longer difficult. That's with any occupation. If you talk to a brain surgeon, it's like he's done this X amount of times. I don't think there's one thing that's more, it's more difficult. It just might take a little bit longer. And so there's meals that take a little bit longer, a little
bit more labor intensive.
But the way it is in a kitchen, it's all broken down into groups. Everything's grouped out. So it's just because you're doing this, it's you might not be doing that all that day. You're not confying a duck all in one day. 24 hours is, first you're butchering it, off the duck, and then you're brining it for 24 hours.
I know what he means. Yeah, of course.
And then you're brining it for 24 hours, and then after that, you take it out, then you're cooking it for, however long, 12 to 24 hours, and then you're setting it. It's it's a 3-day process. Is it difficult? No. Is someone going to do it at home? No. Why would you take 3 days worth of work to make 2 duck legs? So, if we can take that off your hands. Most people don't want to do one day of work with Thanksgiving deal. Exactly.
Right?
So I don't think that I wouldn't say that anything's difficult just because, we've done it enough times that it's just repetition at this point. There's things where you might dread a little bit coming in oh man, I got
so what's the meal
X.
then? What is it? Give the people what they want. They want to know.
I don't know. I can't tell.
Oh, now I put my foot in it.
No, it's.
What's your favorite meal to make? We'll move on.
Okay. Well, my favorite meals are always the ones that are layering flavors. That's where I like. So it may be a dish that's just one dish, and there's not separate components going into it. But that's what makes it more difficult. So if you're asking for difficulty, it's just. I would say difficulty is holding back in the kitchen. The biggest difficulty in becoming a chef is once you have all those tools, not pulling them out on every single dish. It's knowing when to use which tool in the kitchen at which time, and then when not to. Restraint is the hardest thing in the kitchen, I would say, by far. Most people at home, they want to dump. They're like, oh, I've used all these spices, so now I'm going to dump them all in because I know what they taste like. So that's the biggest thing is just, and that goes right back to the name Cacio Pepe. It doesn't take a lot of ingredients, just the right ones together. So just use those right ones, treat them the way they should be treated, and you're going to have a fabulous dish. So just trying not to use, the the restraint is the hardest thing in the kitchen. So going back to favorite dishes, I like the duck cassoulet and the Tuscan wild boar dish. Those are bean dishes that come from very humble upbringings, and it takes a chef using all his skills to coax those ingredients to their highest form.
Right.
And so, it's layering flavors. It's not just, putting a dish all together in one pot and it's like, it's done. Like, like somebody at home, they throw everything in the crock pot and they set it on, they come back from work and like, ooh, my dinner's ready. It's doing everything separately, treating it to the best of its ability, and then combining them at the right time in the right place in the dish so that they all elevate one another. And that's the one thing with dishes I'm always looking for is, I'm looking for a dish to sing at the highest level. And to get that, every ingredient has to be pushing each other above its limit. And so, until they all reach 10, and then they're all firing on 10. You need your acidity up here. You need your heat up here. You need your, everything else, the fresh herbs, everything, everything's got to be pushing each other right up to 10. And that's when I'm building a dish in my head. It's always like that. It's like, okay, X is only at 7 and X is at 6. We need it up here. And then once they start doing that, you'll see the dish go from just like, oh, that's nice, to like, whoa, it's like fireworks. It's like, if the dish at the end doesn't feel like, fireworks going off, then, you can keep going. You're not there yet.
The image of a mad scientist came into my mind when you explained that.
That is accurate.
A bit of a mad scientist approach.
If you've ever been into our storefront and peeked in the kitchen, I think it looks about like that, I'd say.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming in, talking to me today about it. Again, the goal of this is to help to amplify to Niagara some of my favorite places, people that I know are doing a fantastic job, and you deserve the focus. So thank you very much for giving me the time for you guys to come in here today and talk about your business. And at the end of this, everybody that's watching this, we are going to have the address and the website / Instagram info posted. So please take a look at that and visit the Cacio Pepe.
That's it. You got it. Cacio Pepe.
Thanks.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.